Welcome, everyone, to the Amazing Teens podcast. Today, I'm so excited to be talking to Camilla Booth, the VP of People at Coder. So instead of me talking about Camilla, welcome to the Amazing Teens podcast episode.
Hello. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this.
Tell me more about Coder. What do you guys do, and how long have you been there?
Yeah, for sure. So, Coder is a Series C startup. Our mission is essentially to help enterprise companies with AI governance for agents. I have been at Coder for 8 years now, so since 2018. And yeah, I've seen Coder through a ton of growth from seed stage, around 10 people, all the way we're nearing 200 people and at our Series C.
And what was your role when you started? Like, were you in the people function from the start? Did
Oh,
you even have a people function at a small company like that?
no. I started as a contractor. My background's in recruiting, and it was just typical startup fashion where it was like we were in office and it was like, "Hey, Camilla, do you know how to do QuickBooks?" Or, "Hey, Camilla, can you help us with our HRIS?" And my contractor role morphed into a full-time role, and I just feel so lucky that I was able to see the back office of a company and scale that accordingly.
So now, how many employees do you have and in how many countries?
We have probably like 170, maybe 175 with offers accepted and over 15 countries.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So in the last 8 years, what has been the most rewarding part of leading the team through all these changes and growth?
The most rewarding part is when I see people at the company in person and they are just so happy to be part of the team and they like thank me for it. And I get kind of embarrassed because I'm like, hey, I didn't do that. I was part of it, but like it feels good that people actually love working here. I hear like Coder's culture is like unbeat compared to other companies. And, I still think about the little programs that we put together and the investments that we've made into people. So I feel very, very lucky that I have the job where I can make that change into people's lives.
What has been the hardest part of leading a global team through ups and downs of the world?
Yeah, I mean, COVID stands out a lot. We did do a riff in 2021, and that was probably the hardest part of my career at Coder because it was just something out of our hands. It was just a hard time to look people in the eyes and tell them they no longer have a job. So that was probably my hardest.
Okay. And so now you're going fully remote, whereas you were previously, everyone was in Austin, right?
Yeah.
In your office. How did you scale the remote team from 18 to 20 to now, 170 plus? Like, what were some lessons learned? What did you do that failed? What did you do that worked? How did you do that?
We failed a lot, and in hindsight, I think that's the only way that you can do better. So I'm grateful for that, but how did we scale? I mean, we were able to get funding, so that really helped us invest in the right tools and the right people. So we invested a lot into hiring. COVID forced us to become a global company. Prior to COVID, we were in Austin predominantly. We had like one or two people outside, so the talent pool opened, and I think when you hire globally, you are building a culture that you can't get if you're only siloed into one location. So scaling was, a lot of investment put behind that and hiring the right people.
When we were preparing for this podcast, you said one thing that so resonated with me and stuck with me, which is about keeping the culture organic. Like when people come in, you don't tell them like, hey, like you tell me what the culture is. I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Where does that belief and philosophy come from for you? Because it's very unique and I believe it's very empowering. So how did you develop that as a how you lead people teams?
I've just worked at other companies where culture was like kind of told to me, like, "This is our culture," and I would almost, like, roll my eyes and be like, "Says who? Like, what are you talking about?" And now when I really think about Coder's culture, it feels organic because I feel like it is, I know it's gonna sound like cheesy, but it's like a vibe. And I feel it more when I'm in person because I'm exposed to a lot of people. When, we do offsites or team events, I feel that vibe a lot more. But we do embrace culture that isn't just related to work. So one of the words that we use internally a lot is to tinker. So tap into your creative side, build fun apps or agents, or if you're in HR and you want to try, learn how to code, like use your L&D budget for that. So like we really embrace people stepping out of their role at work to just try tinker and be exposed to like new tools and trends. And I think that in return, it's like it's proven to like have people in a remote culture, like even meet people more. So like, if I'm trying to build an agent and I'm stuck on something, I could go to someone in product or engineering that I usually wouldn't meet and get their help. And then, I give them a taco, we shout them out. So like I think letting employees just have fun for some of their job and go outside of just their day job, I think that makes people feel seen and valued more.
So when people describe their culture, your culture to you, is it what you want it to be? Like, does it resonate like, yes, this is exactly what we're trying to build, and I'm so happy that it comes through? Or do people experience it entirely differently?
Yeah, I mean, both. The word transparency comes up a lot because we are constantly serving the company and having very open all hands where like, I've clearly been at a company long enough to see that roller coaster ride. We have had really, really amazing quarters and moments, and we have also had really scary and not so fun quarters. And having employees that have been here, 2, 3, 4, 5+ years, they've experienced that with me, and, like, I remember being in rooms where we were like, "So, are we gonna need to do layoffs?" Or, "Oh, we're not getting our bonus this quarter," like, we have had hard conversations, and I think that that is special at a startup because you can have those open conversations, so that transparency is a culture buzzword that I hear a lot, which I agree with. And then one of our culture virtues to Austin was like to be weird in a good way. And that was just a node to Austin. It was just like be authentically yourself. Like, we don't want to hire the carbon copy of Camilla. I want my team to make up for the things that I don't have and vice versa. Like, I want us to collaborate together from all different viewpoints. I don't want carbon copies of people, which is why I love hiring internationally.
What do you do as a team to help those flavors come to life? Like, are there any like all company things where people get to experience the cultures of the world, or in your, offsites? Like, how do you bring that melting pot together?
Yeah, I mean, we have like playful Slack channels that, in typical fashion, someone will start up a Slack channel, like a food channel, and it'll be buzzing for a few weeks and then it kind of like dissolves. And then a few weeks later, we'll see like right now we have a fun one called Bravo Verse with people into Bravo shows. I don't know if you watch those, but it's really, really funny. I love our Kids of Coder one. That one is awesome because we're seeing like, people all over the world, like raising their kids in a work environment. Like it's chaotic, but it's, everyone like who has kids can experience similar things in different cultures. So I think we lean in on a lot of Slack channels. And then in person, I would say it's the unscripted part of our offsite is where cultures come into play. So it's the after hours. It's okay, we just did 8 hours of sessions. Now you have a free for all. Go have happy hour or dinner with people. And that's when we see a lot of the, fun stuff come out. I usually go to my room early on those nights.
You're like, I don't want to see all the
Yeah,
details of what's
I want
happening.
people to have fun, but I don't need to know how much fun they're having.
What are the parts, you're trying to always engage all your whole company, right? You're working across time zones, cultures, which is fun and also comes with a lot of challenges. Like someone's trying to schedule a call and there's a 6-hour time difference. Okay, how are we going to make that happen? What do you own in your people team? What do you own when it comes to employee engagement? And what do people or other leaders in the company organically bring up together? Like the Slack channel sounds like it's something that employees are like, I'm into the Bravo shows. I'm going to create a Slack channel. So what do you guys do that you kind of, bring forth? And what do people do on their own that are as important?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is like where Hey Taco has helped us a lot. For engagement, we do Employee Appreciation Week and we set the themes ahead of time. So we'll do like, Monday is like the Unsung Hero Award, Tuesday is the, Cross Functional Support Award, the Sleeper Award, maybe someone you wouldn't expect. And what we'll do is like, we'll on in those weeks we'll increase people's tacos for the day. So instead of people getting 5 tacos a day, they'll get 20. And then that's when employees just go off. Like they love it. If you look at our usage chart, it just was so high in that week. And it was really fun to like see what people were shouting people out for. The engagement was really strong. It felt like it was the best we could do in a remote world without like throwing thousands and thousands of dollars at like those, happy hour virtual mixers that are sometimes kind of cheesy because you have to like buy all the supplies and then you jump on Zoom and it's like awkward. This was just felt so organic.
When, let's say Monday was, unsung hero day, so people were shouting out who they believe was the unsung hero. Did you do anything at the end to like tally up the people that got mentioned the most that day? Or was it like, no, anyone you believe was the unsung hero, they get to call out and we're not picking anything on top of that?
No, yeah, we don't wanna put too many guardrails around it. I think that's when culture can feel a little bit forced. We did do a little call out on our all hands. We do like a monthly all hands with the company and I think we showed like screenshots of shout outs and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What are some other things throughout the year that you do any like, maybe this is something that you started early on. You're like, this is way too forced. There's way too much going on, like in terms of the happy hours and the trivia and all the things that people can participate in. Did you ever do any of those?
Yeah. I would
That sounds like a
say
painful yeah. It's like, well, yeah, glad I'm not doing it anymore.
I mean, so from March 2020 through all of 2021, it was like Wild Wild West. Like, we were trying every little thing possible. We had, a tarot card reader come. We had a sip and paint virtual thing. We did a scavenger hunt in people's homes. Like, we did a daily coffee morning stand up, and like, it's it's all similar themes. It starts off really strong, like 80% participation, and then week by week by week, it dies down to where it's just me and one other person who's just being nice on the call with me. And nothing was sticky. Like, and that is actually when we got Hey Taco was 2021. And that was probably the least amount of effort that I had to do. Like, I didn't have to like force it down people's throats or schedule meetings to explain how it worked or really put together a ton of resources. It just worked. Like we installed it, we made its own Slack channel, we call it Thanks, and yeah, people started using it and then new hires they would automatically be put in that channel and they would get tacos. So then by the end of the day they wanted to give tacos. So that was the most organic culture building thing that I think was intentional, but at the same time we didn't realize like let me back in 2021, I was in like it was very chaotic and I was just trying to do anything that I thought that can make our culture strong.
Hmm.
And I wasn't thinking a year, 2, 3 years ahead. I was only thinking about right now. And now in hindsight, I don't do that. I only think about how things are going to scale. And like all the stuff that I tried, those like, silly little, virtual scavenger hunts and games and all that stuff, it's like good one-offs, but something to stay years and years and years and to scale, I think it needs to have simplicity and fun if we're talking about culture. And I think the emoji thing is like the most genius detail. On every single job posting, we have a blurb about tacos, and it comes up in interviews. People are like, "What's the deal with these tacos?" We use it all the time. We also bought plush tacos, and we rented out a movie theater at our last offsite, and we had everybody in, the seats at a movie theater, and we had people on the ground, and we were doing like Q&A and asking questions, and whoever got it right, we would throw a taco at them. So like we do have that, and that wasn't like planned and like you guys sold us that idea. That just like happened. It was like, well, we use tacos every single day. It's our most used Slack channel. And that seems like a fun idea. Who doesn't want like a plush taco thrown at them? So
Everyone
I think,
likes a taco.
yeah, it just kind of worked.
Well, do you think that using something like launching something that required the least amount of effort, but it took off, is that kind of what changed your belief about, you know what, we should just let things emerge versus trying to force, for the lack of a better word, but like engineer this engagement? Or have you already thought about it before?
No, 100%. At the time I had an office coordinator. I was literally taking up 80% of her day, forcing her to come like do all this different creative stuff. Once I like really took a step back and I was like, this is like so cheesy. I just like didn't have the time for that once we kind of hit this like other stage of growth that I was like, people are happy with, a good paycheck. We put a lot of effort into, building a good comp philosophy,
Hmm.
good benefits. We pay attention to surveys, engagement surveys specifically. And, let's try utilize some simplicity. Like people are busy. They don't want to track a million Slack channels, but if we can hone in on one and like make it fun, that works. So yeah, I in the beginning it was just like, a lot of trial and error. Now I think about culture from a scaling perspective versus like in the moment.
The things that, like, let's say you were starting in your role, let's say you're mentoring someone starting in your role, like, what would you tell them? Like, hey, like, don't do this and do that. Like, how would you, like, Camilla's philosophy about building culture, how would you summarize it or just describe
Yeah,
it?
I would say run away from a company if you don't have a CEO that's wants to talk about culture. Like
Hmm.
I think if you don't have the support from the core leadership team or the CEO, all your ideas and budget and everything, it's not going to be taken seriously. Strive to pick a thought partner and a manager that can support you.
I have a follow-up question on that one. Do you think you can change someone's mindset about culture actually being important? Let's say someone's CEO is like not quite there. Do you think it's able to influence them?
It's funny you ask that. I have had people in leadership maybe not reject tacos. They maybe just don't understand it. They almost find it to be like, it's a little silly. I'm a serious person, or, I don't know why I need to embrace it. But when I show them the data, they get it. I think it's important to like one thing that I always like to remind managers is that remember when you were an IC and all you wanted was for your manager to know what a great job you were doing, but maybe they weren't in the room. If they're not in the room, you feel like, great, like they're never going to know I like said that amazing thing on the call. Only the CSM saw that. But for the CSM to jump off that call and go into the taco channel and give you a shout out, your manager sees it.
Yeah, I remember wanting my manager seeing my good work. I feel like everyone can put themselves in the shoes of like you just started your career or you just joined a company and you're just hoping that someone thinks you're doing a good
Recognizes
job.
you. Yeah, another data point we use, I mentioned our offsites when we, meet as a company once a year. We do similar to like in the office, like the Dundies, we do like superlatives. We have like Lego figurines with like, bricks with awards. And we always do a most tacos given and most tacos received award. And people love that award. And we have the stats. Last year, it was like, so and so gave out like, I don't know, it was like 1,000 tacos or something crazy. And it's like, that is such a cool thing. And it's like, I don't know, it doesn't feel forced. I can't express that enough. Like, it's not feeling forced. So, yeah, I do think you can change people's minds about culture when you look at attrition, you look at stay surveys, you look at, all of those things. And if themes keep popping up, you really need to pay attention to those themes
Mm.
and figure out a way to bottle that up and scale it if it's working.
So besides, like, your CEO needs to think about culture or the leadership team, and if
Yeah.
not, you can try and change their mind. But if you can't change their mind, like, run,
Just
don't walk
yeah.
away, right?
Yeah.
What are the other things you're like, don't like pay attention to this before we get into like the tips of like do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I think once you have implemented something, I would pay close attention to usage and know when to pull the plug. It's okay if things don't take off immediately. Maybe you need to tweak, some of the, programming and, messaging, and people may not just understand it, but like I worry about putting a lot of time and effort into something where the ROI is just not there. So I would pay close attention to usage and feedback.
I feel like when you're launching things for other people, right? Not just you're the user and the administrator for some sort of a, let's say data tool, whatever.
Yeah.
There is the intended way people are using it, and then there's the way that people actually use it. You know, when you see a path through a park that people have just carved in by walking there, even though there's no like cemented path, like it's such a good example of
Yeah.
people are going to walk where they want to walk, not where just the path is. And I feel like the tools can be that way too. Like there's the way that people should use it, and then there's the way that people actually use it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't match, right? And
Yeah.
you get the intended effect that's just not what you want necessarily.
100%. I have seen that.
What are some things that you would recommend to someone or, Camilla in 10 years that you would actually want to do when it comes to culture? You're like in the proactive, like do this.
Yeah, I would definitely survey and stay on top of programs you put in place. So it's very easy to plan through something, set it up, and then just, check on it when something's broken. I wouldn't wait till something breaks. I would set reminders and audits of how things are working a lot sooner than you would think. So, if I think about like team size, a company that's 25 people, it's much easier to pivot certain implementations, whereas 200 people, it's a lot more challenging. So I would get on top of things faster. And that's also based on experience. There were a lot of things that, I would set up and then I would only revisit like 9, 10, 12 months down the line. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no one's even opened this page since February and it's October. Like, what am I doing? Like that took me months to set up. So yeah, I would absolutely advise to do that.
What's your review cycle these days now that you learned all those hard lessons? Like when you put something in, how fast do you review it and rip it out
I
if
would
it's
say
not
every,
working?
every three months.
Nice.
I think in quarters.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's not like cliche. Even in my personal life, I'll say to my husband like, "Oh, like let's do this next quarter." And he's like, "Can you
He's
stop?"
like, are we a business plan? Is this a business
Yeah.
transaction or?
Yeah, no. It makes sense for me to think in quarters or half years. So H1 and H2.
What is your favorite taco you've ever received? Is there one or a few?
I think when I got promoted to VP, it was really nice, the kind things people were saying. So that was nice. Or I just had my 8-year anniversary come up. That was really special. Like, people say really nice things.
And
And
does
you remember that. And one thing I have told a couple of people on my team, I was like, hey, like when you're having a really, really bad day, like collect those messages that you can save in a Google Drive or whatever drive so you can go back to it. And a lot of that comes in the taco channel. Like if you get that like 3-sentence shout out from the CEO that you met like a few times, but you did something great, like save that. And then when you're having a really shitty day, open that and be like, you know what? I am a badass. Like, I know what I'm doing.
That's a really good advice. We all need to pick me up, right?
Yeah.
Everyone gets down on themselves at some point.
You need a boast book.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, I always usually end our podcast with the same question, which I actually did not tell you earlier. So you didn't have a chance to
Oh,
prepare, which is not a bad
not
thing.
enough.
But It is Hey Taco, and you
Yeah.
have 5 tacos to give to someone every single day to
Okay.
appreciate them. So today, who would you like to give your tacos to and why? And it can be anyone. Doesn't have to be a coder. Doesn't have, it can be anyone in your life that you want to appreciate.
Yeah. I want to give tacos to my recruiting team. So in the last year, we've doubled the company, and each recruiter has about 10 open recs. So if you're
Right now,
listening and
still?
on yes, yes, they have so we have 30 plus openings at Coder. So if you're listening and on the job market, check out our careers page. Have to do a plug. Um
Absolutely.
yeah, they are just so on top of it, and they're such culture champions. And we do a ton of, candidate surveys as well as hiring team, like whoever's involved in the hiring process. We're averaging like a 9 out of 10 on almost every survey. So I am like so beyond
Amazing.
grateful for them. And yeah, so I have four people on that team that I would give my tacos. And then I think my remaining taco would probably go to my CEO. I know that sounds like I'm sucking up, but like he is a wonderful champion of culture and Hey Taco, and Hey Taco even existed before he joined the company, and he embraced it and wanted to keep it and help me grow it. So yeah, he would get my fifth taco.
Those are some good tacos. And holy cow, 10 open recs per recruiter.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
pretty wild.
coder.com. Is that the URL?
I think it's like coder dash careers. Yeah.
Coder dash careers. Perfect.
Coder.com dash careers. Yeah.
Perfect. So if you're looking for a new role, check it
Yes,
out.
please.
Camilla, thank you so much for being part of this podcast. And also thank you for building a great culture. You're obviously making a place for 170 plus people and hopefully another 30 or 40 coming up in the next year.
Yeah.
Love working at, and that just makes life, I think, way more fun. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. This is a really fun conversation.